Let's play some hockey tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Welcome to Gouche Live. At the bottom line, I'm here on a Monday night. It is quiet and cold, obviously, in downtown Toronto. And this is being brought to you by those good people at the Hockey News and, of course, Fired Up Network. And I'll tell you what, I could use a fire right now to warm myself up. You may see my breath in a few minutes. It's so cold here. Listen, I'm wearing a jersey. I'm going to be doing this for the next 29 days because we are going to, on January 29th, we are going to auction off a bunch of jerseys. It's called Take the Jersey Off My Back, in support of mental health, obviously for our Stop Concussion and Connected Mental Health platform. It's a very important cause dear to my heart. Obviously, I lost my sister to mental health, and of course, a lot of my friends have suffered from concussions, and we certainly want to make sure we take care of them. So this is the first of many. I've got well over 100 jerseys that I've handpicked. I'm actually modeling every one of them, which is kind of cool. I wish I could have modeled them when I was 30 rather than 62, because it doesn't have quite of a punch. You'll see some of the jersey a little tight on me, but we're really excited about that. It's going to be supporting athletes that are suffering from concussions and mental health. And of course, as we come through this pandemic, that's going to be very, very important. Listen, give a little, get a lot. Certainly going to help us out tremendously. All right, listen, I've got an extra special guest. He hasn't been on for a while. We love him. He's obviously going to keep us informed of what's going on in Germany right at this moment. Obviously, we know what's going to go on with the Olympic team. The German Olympic team will have no NHLers, so no Stützle, no Draisaitl, no Greece. What is it, Grice? What does that mean for the German national team? Franz Reindl thinks it could be a very positive situation, and we're going to hear it from this man right now, your friend and mine, all the way from Krefeld, Germany, Schopy.
Hi, Gary. How are you? Hi, everybody.
Hey, Schop, I'm doing really well. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, I know it's very late there. It's past midnight, but you're one of those guys. I said, hey, do you want to record this? He said, no, I'm watching the Aussie Open, which is going to be starting. Really quickly, I got to get into the controversy. Djokovic, no vax Djokovic. Is it right or wrong that he's going to be able to stay in Australia?
I think for him it's a nightmare, but the rules are for everybody the same, and everybody is now excited what happened tomorrow, because now he is in Australia. He can stay, but maybe tomorrow the court will say, hey, you have to go out, and then he can go there for the next 3 years.
All right. Well, we'll wait. Yeah. We'll wait for that breaking news, of course. I know on Wednesday we'll be having an opportunity to, there's Tony Meal coming up and saying, hey, Schopy, listen, I wanted to talk to you last night. You stay up and watch everything, which is Shopster. There's your new name, Shopster. Thanks, Aaron Kuzak, all the way from, obviously, Melbourne. I'm wondering if you guys are in lockup, so let us know. Talk to us a little bit about last night. You couldn't sleep because...
I have a question before your shirt. I thought you will wear a shirt from Greifswald. You play for Greifswald. You won the championship with Greifswald. So where is your Greifswald shirt?
That's a very good point with Andy Pritchard, of course, as you remember, with a lot of great Elmer Schmitz, a lot of guys from Krefeld. Thank you for that. I'm still looking for it after the party. When we won the German championships, I was a player coach with Uli Mühlenhaus. What a great guy, what a great coach, and all the boys. And we had a rip-roaring party, and I'm still looking for it. So anybody that took number 29, the jersey that we won the German championships, please put it up on auction for us so we can raise some money. But no, I do have a Greifswald jersey, and I'm really excited about what I did. And what I decided is at 62, people need help. And so I've got a big, huge collection. Whether I get $10 or $100 or $1,000, it doesn't matter. We're going to raise some money for mental health all across the world, of course, for Stop Concussions Germany and, of course, Connected Mental Health. Thank you for asking. But tell me why you were up late last night.
Yeah, I'm very excited because every Sunday night we can watch here in Sky TV the football games. Now the playoff will start next weekend. And last night I saw San Francisco against in Los Angeles, and it was unbelievable game. I saw it's over after the third period, and then the San Francisco came back unbelievable, and with a touchdown from Jennings, and then extra point, and it was a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
And before I saw another game in overtime, and it was a great night for football.
Oh, unbelievable!
All over the world. It's
obviously Pittsburgh came back and won that game. All Pittsburgh fans were sitting on the edge of their seat, because if that would have ended up in a tie, they would have not been through on the playoffs. We won't get into that, but I just wanted to let people know that Schopy, who's one of the best ice hockey minds in Europe, obviously you help out in the DEL and the German national team, and of course Krefeld. I know you stay up and watch every sport, and especially tennis, because you are a tennis player, aren't you?
Yes, I came from tennis practice now for 1 hour before.
That's why you're sweating. I knew it. All right, listen.
So, but Kerry, for me, it's now difficult if I celebrate now for the Steelers in the playoffs or for the Green Packers, because I like the Green Packers too, because Rodgers has a new record touchdown moment, and I don't know where I celebrate for. Maybe Steelers, because yellow, black, Steelers and Green
white,
Packers.
Of course.
Rodgers is my favorite quarterback since a few years. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, I jumped on the bandwagon last year. I'm a Minnesota Viking fan through and through. We won our last game of the season, but I am all about Tom Brady. What he's doing is absolutely incredible at his age. So I'm going to say Tampa Bay is going to beat and win the Stanley Cup. They're going to win the Super Bowl again. All right, let's move on to junior hockey, because obviously it was a very big disappointment for all of us to see that the World Junior Championships in Edmonton and in Red Deer were canceled. But there was a lot of confusion after it was done. I don't think all the aftermath is done yet. I still think it's put a dark spot on the World Junior Hockey Championships. And I know that one of the players, Alexander Blanc, who I played against his father, who was also a Krefeld. He played in Bremerhaven. He was stuck over there. Explain that to me, please.
Yeah, after the game against the Czechs, and he had a phenomenal goal. I think it was the same goal like from Stützle, the world champion before, 1 year before. And it was a great game for Germany. Before against Finland was a good game too. And then the world champion was cancelled, and all players were tested before they go home. And Blanc was tested positive, so he had to stay in Edmonton in a hotel with a doctor from the German team. The other team went home to Germany, and when they come back, 9 players were tested positive too in Germany.
Man, incredible.
They had to go in quarantine, and 3 others from Krefeld. And Blanc had to stay 10 days in Edmonton, and he was only in the hotel. I called him over WhatsApp, and he said, "Okay, I can make a little bit gym in my hotel. I get the food in front of my door. Yep. The doctor is up beside in the other room, and I watched NHL games." So he dreamed now to be an NHL player maybe in a few years. And I think he said, "I'm happy. I have my my game play from computer." And and it was very, very boring for him. And now he is back. After he was back in Krefeld, 2 hours later, he was by the Oberliga team from Krefeld against Halle. Okay. And he was a little bit tired. And now he has a medicine check since yesterday. And maybe he can go on the ice maybe Friday.
Okay. Hey, listen, is Elmer Schmidt still coaching the Oberliga team?
Yes. Yes.
Great friend of mine. Say hello. Tell him when we get a chance. Listen, I want to. I know that you can get us in contact. I'd love to have the opportunity maybe to get an interview with Alex Blanc if he speaks English. If not, we can speak German. Please try and see if you can organize that. It'd be great to understand the complexity. Listen, I know we got to move on quickly. I just want to mention, obviously, the Russians did a disservice to the World Junior Hockey's, of course, what the shenanigans they had in the airport. I just do want to pay a compliment to the Germans. You guys are so classy, run by Franz Reindl. And of course, we're going to talk about that in a few seconds about the Olympics and Franz Reindl thinking about the Olympic team going over to China. Listen, talk to us about Krefeld. Obviously, there are issues with COVID. It's running rampant throughout the world right at this moment. It has affected the DL. What's going on first with the DL and then with the Krefeld Penguins?
Yeah, so the DL and other kind of sports in Germany hit very hard from the new virus, Omicron. And you saw Bayern München, they had 9 players from the first team. They get tested positive, and they lost against Mönchengladbach last Friday night. I think your favorite team, Borussia Mönchengladbach,
Yes.
they won in Munich 2-1. And the Bayern Munich had to play because they have so many young players in the second team. They have a license for the first team, and so they had to play. And in the DL, now we have a lot of games canceled since 2 weeks because in Iserlohn, it's unbelievable. They have 27 people around the team, from the team, all the players, and around the staff. 27 people hit by COVID-19, the new virus. And I think one team, Cologne, has 39 teams, and one team, Straubing, has only 31 teams, also eight teams or 9 teams left. And so nobody knows what happened because the CEO from the German Ice Hockey League said Friday night, what can I do? I have to wait. What happened with the virus? We play how long we can play, and then the Olympic break. They think about it now to play with teams that have no players at the Olympics, that they can play the games they left the last 2 weeks. That we will see if that goes on, but the most teams has player for German team or for other teams. In Krefeld, we have one Danish Dynamite D.
Yes.
We have one from Latavia D, very good D. We have Jeremy Bracco from the US team. He's on the list from the US Olympic team. Every team from Olympic tournament has now 50 players on the list. They have to give the list to the Olympic organization,
right?
And it's nobody knows who is fit in February when the Olympics starts, because and in Krefeld we are lucky we have today the first player who tested positive with COVID-19, the first player, and I think it's one of the 3 guys from the under-20 German team.
So, Schopy, thank you for filling us in, obviously, what's going on in the DEL and, of course, with Krefeld. And it does have implications as we wrap this up. We're going to talk about the Olympics. As we know, the NHL is suffering exactly the same issues that you are in Germany, with teams missing players and moving back with this COVID crisis. What does it look like for the German national team right at this moment? We're talking only weeks before they have to get on a flight. Are they going to quarantine players? Are they going to keep those players that they're hoping to play under the bubble of some sort? Or are they just going to hope to God they don't go to the airport and test positive?
Yeah, the problem is, Gary, the league will play until 28th of January. And then the German team will meet all the players in Füssen. And then they have one week in a bubble there, tested and everything. But the coach, I think for him it's terrible. Every day he heard, oh, this player is tested COVID, this player from his team, and he don't know who will play, who can play, can go to China, and the discussion is unbelievable now in Germany or in Europe, in Sweden. The coach from Frolenda Göteborg said, I cannot allow my player to go to the Sweden national team, but I think that he has to do it because it's a rule in every country. You have to get your players to the national team, and most of the players said, or in other sports, winter sports, skiing said, hey, we can go to China. When you saw films and in TV from China, what happened there, it's terrible. It's a nightmare to go to the Olympics in China. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Olympic is the greatest tournament for every kind of sports in summer or winter. But this rules and this situation down in Peking, it's crazy. It's crazy.
What I don't understand, Schopy, of course, it's all about the finances. I just can't see these Olympics having any kind of financial win under these circumstances. It would only make sense, and I think we could discuss this forever, and I'm sure as we get closer, I'd love to get you back on. Franz Reinl says the German team may get a break because of this situation, but you're not going to be with players like Stützle, Draisaitl, of course, arguably one of the best players on the planet right at this moment. So it is going to blemish the Olympic moment for the fans, and without any fans in the stands, of course, that will not be happening. I think it's going to be a disaster. Hey, listen, as I let you go, what does it look like in the next 7 to 10 days with the leagues? Not only the DL, but I do hear there are a lot of problems in the Oberliga with the Hanover Scorpions and the Hanover Indians. They've had to have no fans in their games or very few. Wrap it up really quickly. What does it look like?
Yeah, okay. We wait now what happened with the virus Omicron, because the government said the Omicron is not so dangerous like the virus before Delta, and so maybe the quarantine will not go for players. They are third time vaccinated, booster. So they don't have to go in quarantine, but all the players who have, it's for the player who have contact with COVID players, and so in the second league, more games are cancelled than in the first league. In the Oberliga South group, so many games cancelled, and but the second and the third league can play in the Olympic break. For them, it's not so
right,
difficult
of course.
than for the first league. And
hey,
we
Schopy,
have
hey, Schopy, listen, this weekend, let's catch up and find out about other leagues, of course, what's going on in Switzerland, what's going in Holland, and obviously in Scandinavia. You talked a little bit about that. The Swiss league.
Austria has cancelled the whole games last weekend.
All right. Well, we'll get caught up. We'll get caught up with you next week. I can't thank you enough for bringing us up to date. Go Krefeld. I hope everything goes well. And of course, it's great to have Alexander Blank, and I hope you can line us up to have an interview with him. That would be absolutely amazing.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And have a good show. I have to go to bed.
Good
Sorry.
night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Hey, listen, as our producer is going to come up here in a few minutes, we're going to talk a little bit about the NHL. Of course, all around the world, everybody is struggling with this. And of course, I got a comment here from Aaron Kuzak. Aaron's been watching this very closely of what's going on with Djokovic. And, I watched CNN had a film on Djokovic and the absolute adulation that the Australian fans have for him. The police had to push people out of the way as his car left the courtroom. Of course, it's going to be crazy. And if he does get to play, and if he does get to win, what are the complexities of this? I know Aaron mentioned that it is going to be truly amazing, which it will be. But what are we've heard comments of people that couldn't get back home to be with sick elderly parents, yet a man can get back and hit a tennis ball around a court. Not sure what the implications will be there. Hey, listen, Marty Roberts has a great comment here. Love it. The fact that he got to play in the Olympic ring in Munich. I also got to do that. And then, of course, went to the Hofbräus. There is nothing better than the Hofbräus. And, of course, I did also have an opportunity to sit there with my dad and sing Oop Papa music. Marty, what a great experience. And it is a bucket list. If you haven't been there before, if you have not been to Oktoberfest or to the Munich Ring, make sure you check it out. And of course, final comment coming from John Laroche. Thank you for being a part of the show also. Great hearing from the international markets, good information, good education. You can create more interest in the international game. And John, that's what we're going to do. Mike Burrell is going to be coming on next week and talk about what is actually going on at the Olympic Stadium. Of course, Wuxong Arena, the Cadillac Arena, of course. We'll find out more information over the next couple of weeks as we get closer to the Olympics. Hey, listen, always a pleasure having my producer come on. He's enlightened me with a bunch of stuff around the NHL. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Laroche.
Hey, Gouche.
Hey, Jordan, how you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. This is the last few days of my family here, so we're just kind of getting to wrap up.
Well, it's great to have your dad here. I just noticed a couple people walking by the door. It's starting to look great. Look at the TV in behind us.
Love it.
Obviously, the TV highlights the street behind us and people walking by. And as this opens up, we are going to be so excited. Having your dad here at this particular moment, he brings up the comment, of course, understanding the games, the Olympics, the international game. What was your thoughts listening to Schopy talk about Alex Blank having to stay in a hotel for 10 days with the German doctor?
Well, I mean, it's just crazy to think about. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we were talking about the Olympics a couple of weeks ago when the NHL players were still kind of on the fence about going. They're looking at 5 weeks in quarantine. I mean, this whole thing is just an absolute mess. And hopefully every day that goes by, we get closer to somewhat of an end of this, reach some kind of normalcy again.
Yep. Well, we're going to get a chance to talk to Mike Burrell, as I mentioned, in China, Beijing, to find out what is it over there. Obviously, we don't know all the facts, but we'll get that. Hey, listen, Jordan, you've got some information. There's some great news, or I would call it breaking news, and it has to deal with a player in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, John Klingberg, a guy who I've always really liked since he came into the league. David Pagnotta reported that, he's feeling a little unwanted in Dallas right now. His contract talks have kind of reached a little bit of a standstill, and it looks like he's going to be moved. I mean, this is a guy who can, I don't know if he'll change a franchise, but he'll be a good anchor for your top pairing, top defense pairing, and just a super reliable offensive contributor. I would really like this game. It's just kind of weird that Dallas is having an okay year, and they're ready to let him walk.
Well, I'll tell you, Dave Pagnotta, he's from the Fourth Period magazine. He is an insider. He gets the information. So I can tell you what, that is going to be a huge loss. Klingberg is an incredible defenseman, and you can't just make these guys up.
Yeah.
So I would be aghast if Dallas can't find a way to get this guy feeling comfortable in Dallas. What a great city to play in, number one, but also they have a very good hockey team. All right, what else do you hear? Obviously, we'll touch upon some of the other trade baits that are going to start. We're going to hear that as we go forward here. Talk to us about some of the other rumors that you've heard.
I just want to touch on Marty Roberts' comment here. He was told NHL players were asking if they could get released from COVID. And it's actually pretty true. I mean, around the league, a couple of guys were asking their GMs if they could retire for a couple of weeks and then they'll essentially void their contracts and then eventually come back after the Olympics, or asking to get sent down or to AHL for a little bit. I mean, they've tried a lot of different things to try and make this work. But I mean, just around the NHL, I mean, we've all heard about Vander Kane's recent kind of dealings and the couple issues he's had along the way. His contract was recently terminated by the San Jose Sharks, and the NHLPA is actually filing agreements because this essentially happened when he was placed in COVID protocol, and he actually went home to Vancouver while in COVID protocol, and you're supposed to be staying in your home, locked up, quarantining essentially, but he just got on a plane and left. I mean, it's really tough just because he's had so many other issues, and I think the Sharks are just kind of done with it, to be perfectly honest.
It's tiring, Jordan. I wanted to add to that. The NHLPA files grievance. That's their responsibility. But could you see some of those guys that are filing this grievance, kind of saying, "Oh my God, let's just let this thing go away." He's been shooting himself in the foot so many times that it's time. Like, listen, we've obviously seen Antonio Brown, the story that's going on there.
Yeah.
I don't think Evander Kane is not suffering from some mental strain from all the things that he's been going through. I think somebody has to step in. This guy is a very, very talented hockey player, and we know Antonio Brown is an incredible football player. We need somebody to step in and say, guys, let's bring these guys back. We can listen. It's 2022. I think we can find a way of putting them in and getting them the proper help if they so do so.
Well, if it goes through, there's a pretty good 20 goal scorer out in the market. So, I mean, anyone could go get him. And I mean, Montreal's made some questionable picks in the past, so I wouldn't put it past them.
Hey, listen, John, if that happens, I'm taking back the Montreal coasters I gave you for Christmas. His shenanigans in Winnipeg too, pulling out the money and stuff. That's just not normal. So let's move on from him, because one of the things that I wanted to discuss, I did not know this. Thank you for bringing it up. Marc-Andre Fleury becomes the first goal, and you'll love this, of course, because you found it, the first goalie in NHL history to beat all 32 teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure guys like Marty Brodeur have done it in the past when he got traded to St. Louis. But I mean, with two new expansion franchises, I mean, he's the first guy to beat 32 teams. So a little cool fun fact there.
Okay, listen, let's go back. Anthony's got a great comment. I'd love you to also comment on this one. I know we're going back to the Kane thing, but thank you for, taking some time, Anthony, and being with us all the way from Australia. I hope you're not doing anything crazy there. Staying home. Make sure that you get out of this COVID crisis. Look at Carolina, Edmonton, Florida, Tampa Bay, Vegas. Yes, there's no question he would be probably in the top 6 on some of those teams. But can you bring that disturbance into the dressing room? He played at this level.
I think a lot of that was back when before all this happened, just because the Sharks were trying to trade him. But
yes, good point.
So if this grievance doesn't kind of set things back a little bit, he'll be a free agent, and anyone can sign him. So they were trying to trade him, and those teams are correct as well. I think he may. I don't know if Vegas can do it, but any other of those teams would be really good. He'd be really good for them.
Well, then they're your father coming in and defending Evander Kane. I'm not sure it's the same type of situation, John, but he has certainly cleaned up his act a bit. And if somebody can turn him, or if somebody can grab him and get him straightened out, I'll tell you what, he's still a very, very, very good hockey player. All right, let's talk about some others. Obviously, Ben Schrott. Wow is all I got to say.
Yeah, this one doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but it's a guy I've always liked, and he was really solid for Montreal coming down the stretch last season. And Montreal is just trying to sell house right now. I don't blame him, honestly.
Well, you've mentioned a bunch of other guys that, who would you like to see as moving on? Anton Khudobin, we all know him from the playoffs in the bubble. He was absolutely great. Jake DeBrusk. Talk to us a little bit about these two players.
I mean, Khudobin, I think Dallas just has an abundance of goalies right now. Jake Ottinger's been playing pretty well. Braden Holtby's having a great year too. Sure, Ben Bishop retired, but you don't really need 3 starting quality goaltenders on your roster at one time. But again, I like Khudobin. Granted, he's a little older now, but he can still contribute just about anywhere he goes. And DeBrusk, a guy who I've always kind of really liked, but he's kind of tailed off the last few years. I think only 5 goals, 4 assists this year in 27 games. It's not what you expect from a guy like him. But I think he'd still be good on a team where he can provide some grit, some depth scoring, play on the third line. I actually really liked him to go to the Rangers. I don't think that's going to happen anymore, but
Yeah.
I'd still hope they could try to get him.
Yeah, you can't find quality players like that. As we've always talked about, to win a Stanley Cup, you need, listen, you're going to get your top six. You need to have a quality third or fourth line player, and he certainly would fit in with a lot of teams, not only New York Rangers. Hey, listen, Mark Giordano, of course, everybody would want him a leader. Seattle has not really obviously shown the same prowess as the Las Vegas Golden Knights in their first inaugural season. Would Listen, he's the cap. There's no way that Seattle would even consider moving him.
It'd be weird. The year you get him, you name him your captain, and then send him out. I mean, it doesn't make much sense to me, but there's a lot of weight behind this, and it's definitely something that could happen.
Well,
A little weird, but you never know.
Another guy that I just can't see being pried out of San Jose Sharks would be Thomas Hertl. He's been one of the better players this year. San Jose went through a really tough struggle, and now they seem to be, vying for a playoff spot. They're ahead of my Winnipeg Jets, so hopefully they do get rid of Hertl so they can get rid of some of that goal scoring. Do you think somebody could pry him out of San Jose?
I mean, he's in the last year of his deal, a $5.6 million deal. So, I mean, if it's going to happen at any time, this is the year that's going to happen. I mean, I like Hertl. He's been linked to the Rangers as well, but I mean, the San Jose Sharks, it just doesn't make sense for them to trade him this year. I don't think they extend him though. It's a bit of a gray area right now.
All right, listen, we could go on and on with all these trades and that sort of stuff. I just want to do one more, and then I know Marty's got a really good question that we're going to end the program on. Listen, Phil Kessel. He's a very intriguing player. I've been watching him. Great on the power play. He still can shoot the puck. Like, it's absolutely incredible what he can do on a power play. He's certainly going to help out. Do you see him, and how could he feel comfortable in Phoenix? Like, the team is just a disaster. They don't even know if they're going to be playing next week in a building, maybe playing outdoors somewhere in Saskatoon, just like the Winnipeg Jets were trying to do. Do you see him moving?
I mean, if anyone on this list is gonna move, it's probably going to be Phil Kessel. I mean, again, we saw Arizona sell the house over the offseason. They traded away both their goalies. They traded away a number of guys, and the Phil Kessel's again the last year of his deal. They don't want to. They probably won't want to resign him. They want to open up some space for some younger talent to move up. I like Kessel's game. He could, again, another 20 goal scorer that's out on the market, and a lot of teams should be interested on him.
Yep. All right, listen, let's wrap it up. There's a couple of great comments here. Always great to have Marty Roberts from Fired Up Network join in and give us a little bit of excitement here. Jordan, who trades for a goalie first, the Avs or the Oilers?
The Avs aren't trading for a goalie. They're not on the market for it. They signed Darcy Kemper in the offseason. They sacrificed a lot to make that happen, and I think it's got to be the Oilers. Mike Smith, granted, he's played okay here and there. Koskinen, I really don't like. I've never liked since he came to the league. I just think he's been a little overpaid and held too highly of a regard. But it's got to be Edmonton. I don't know if it's Marc-Andre Fleury or even Anton Khudobin. Granted, he could split some of the time with Mike Smith. Going down the stretch, they go into a 2-goalie system.
Yep.
There's a lot of options out there right now, and Edmonton needs to have a fix in that for sure.
Jordan, as we wrap up, I do want to say that Edmonton does need to make a move for goaltending. There's no question. Can Mike Smith regain that prowess that he had last year? And of course, with the issue with the coach throwing his player under the bus, and then that player obviously Koskinen, firing back at him and bringing out the dirty laundry in the press does nobody any good. So I would suggest that he will be moved, but he's at a $5 million ticket. He's going to be tough to move. And I'm going to end it with this when we talk about goaltenders. I know you're the expert, but for the Avalanche to go deep in the playoffs and maybe vie for a Stanley Cup, if Kemper goes down, I'm not sure the backup there will be able to be the guy that's going to lead this team to the promised land.
Well, maybe it's not a goalie issue. I mean, they chased Grubauer out of town last year. Maybe it's a systematic thing, or they're leaving out to dry a little too much. I haven't watched a ton of Colorado this year. I'll admit that, but I mean, Darcy Kemper is a solid goaltender, and we've seen this in the past in Colorado, and maybe it's the defense, maybe it's the system they play. They're not very kind to their goalies there.
Yeah, Jordan, listen, I watched the Toronto Maple Leafs play against them up 4-1. They looked like they had complete control, and you as a goaltender know this. Kemper made a couple of really key saves when it was 4-1, and somebody's, oh, wow, what a difference. You know as a goaltender, you make that save when it could have went 5-1, it's over. You make that save, they come back and score, and, of course, we saw what happened in that game. Yeah. Jordan, always a pleasure. You are the best producer I have. Oh, you're the only producer, but you're doing a great job, buddy, and I'm really excited about what's going on down here. Thank you for all the great work that you've been doing. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming up, and I can't wait till lunch at the Bottom Line with Gouche and friends. You'll be down here, and of course we're getting ready. I know we keep talking about it. Our 3-camera shoot is coming, but you know what, because of the circumstances here, we are just going to continue on doing it like we're doing. We're going to get more practice, and we are ready when we come out of this COVID protocol lockup. Gouche Live will be bringing you the 3-camera shoot. Thanks, Jordan.
See you, Gouche.
Hey, listen, don't forget, take the jersey off my back. This is a jersey that I was blessed to have hung and retired in Timmendorfer Strand. It's still under the roof with some great players. Mark McKayen, of course, Marvin Glaser helped us win the first German championship in the Oberliga. That's the 3rd division for Timmendorf. It's a small little town of about 750 people, 7,500 people on the beach. It's a beach resort. Man, did I have a lot of fun. But I'll tell you what, this jersey is going up for auction, as will many others. So please check it out. You can go to Stop Concussions, go to our shop. It's already starting to fill itself up, and it will launch officially on January 29th. Take the jersey off my back for mental health, Stop Concussions, and Connected, supporting athletes suffering concussions and mental health issues. Give a little, get a lot. Thank you for watching Gouche Live here, brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News, at the Bottom Line, and with those great people from Fired Up Network. Till Wednesday.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gouche, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.